Hey guys, welcome to Java JSON Servlet tutorial. So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to return a JSON response from the Java Servlet. So we use a Gson library to work with the JSON data format, and we deploy our Servlet web application in a Tomcat server. So we are going to create a simple web application which has a servlet, and we write a logic to return a JSON response from Java Servlet to the client. So we're going to use Apache Tomcat server to deploy our application, and Apache Tomcat is open source Java Servlet Container developed by Apache Software Foundation company, and it is one of the most popular Java web server. Alright, and we use a Gson library to serialize and deserialize Java objects. And as we know that Java Servlet is used to create the web applications, and we run Java servlets in a servlet container such as Tomcat or Jetty web server. So let's have a look into the tools and technology that we'll be using to develop this tutorial. So we use Java Undefined Data Later, and we use Servlet 4 Plus, Gson, and we use Eclipse IDE to develop this application step by step, and we use Maven, and we use Tomcat web server. And let's have a look into the development steps. So first we're going to create a Maven web application in Eclipse IDE, and we add all the required Maven dependencies. And next we create a Java Pojo class. So Java Pojo class we use to return as a JSON to the client from the servlet, and we create a servlet and we write the logic in a servlet to return a JSON, users as a JSON string to the client. And finally we test this servlet from the browser. So basically we deploy this servlet in a servlet container like Tomcat, and finally we test this servlet from the web browser. Alright, let's go ahead and let's create a web application in Eclipse IDE. So you can start coding with me so that we can complete this tutorial together. So I am in Eclipse. Let's create a Maven web application. So go to the file, new, and choose Maven project, and here click next, and in a filter section just search for web app. Alright, and select this and give group ID as net.javaguides, and artifact I will give java-servlet Gson tutorial. And once you are happy with the details, hit finish. Yeah, here we go. So Maven web application is created in Eclipse IDE, and let's go ahead and let's change the build path. So by default JDK 1.5 is associated with this project, so let's go ahead and let's change from 1.5 to 1.8. just edit it and select JDK 1.8, hit finish. And you need to also change the Java compiler version from 1.5 to 1.8 or later. Apply and close. Okay, so now we have created a Maven web application. Next step is we need to add all the Maven required dependencies, right? So we're going to use a Gson library to work with the JSON data, and we're going to use a servlet, right, to return a JSON format. So let's go ahead and let's add these two dependencies. So open the browser, just type here servlet Maven dependency 4. So let's add our latest release of Java Servlet API dependency. Just copy this Maven dependency and go to the Eclipse, and in a pom.xml in a dependencies section just paste it here, save it, and let's go ahead and let's take a Gson library from the Maven repository. Again in Google just search for Gson Maven dependency. Let's pick the latest release of a Gson library, copy it and go to the Eclipse again and paste it in a pom.xml and just format it. Yeah, we have added all the required dependencies, right? So the next step is we need to add a package structure. So let me create quickly the package structure here. Search for package, and let me give package name as net.javaguides.servlet and servlet Gson, or I will just give net.javaguides.tutorial, and here I will create a model package, and next I will create one more package and I will name it as a service. So I will create one more package and I will name it as a controller. Alright, so let's create a user Java bin class, and let's go ahead and let's create a few more properties here. Fields: private long id, private string first name, private string last name, private string email. Alright, and let's go ahead and let's create a getter setter methods to access these private fields. Right click, source, generate getter setters, select all and hit generate. And now let's create a parameterized constructor. Right click, source and generate constructor using fields, select all and hit generate. So this will create a constructor. Great, now we have created a user Java bin class with id, first name, last name and email fields. Now let's go ahead and let's create a service which will return a list of users to the servlet. So let's go ahead and let's create a class and let's name it as a user service, and here let's create a method public list of user, and I give a method name as get users, and here we return a list of users. Okay, arrays dot as list, so inside a as list method we can create a user objects. So here I will give id as 100 and it is long, and first name Ramesh, last name Bhattare, email id ramesh@gmail.com. Alright, now let's create one more user, new user, and let's give id as 101 and first name Tom, last name Cruz, tom@gmail.com. Next create one more user, new user 102 L, so L stand is for a long data type. Okay, $103, and here I will give name, first name as a John, Sina, email as john@gmail.com. Alright, look at here, we have created 3 users and we have added to the list, and this get users method returns a list of users. Great, now let's go ahead and let's create a servlet. So right click on controller package, new, and search for servlet. Yeah, here is the servlet. Click on servlet and give servlet name as user servlet. So look at here, by default the servlet template is created with the doGet and doPost method. Now we are going to use a doGet method here. So look at here, web.xml. So web.xml is is nothing but a deployment descriptor where we configure all the web application related configurations. For example, here by default a servlet is configured, so whenever we create a servlet, then this servlet will be defined in a web.xml by default. So look at here, this is the servlet name, user servlet, and this is the display name and description, and this is the servlet class. So you can go to this user servlet by just click control and mouse over it, and you can click on this link, so it will move to the corresponding servlet. And look at here the servlet mapping, so we need to access this servlet. Okay, so we can access this servlet using this URL pattern. Great. So instead of configuring this servlet in a web.xml, we can also use @webservlet annotation to define a servlet. So let me show you how to do that. So let me comment it out and go to the servlet, and here just type @webservlet. Here it is, and just look at here, this is the annotation, so we use its attributes. So we can use a URL pattern, and here let me give a URL as users, and you can also give a servlet name here. So I will give servlet name as user servlet, and you can able to also give the description here. All right, returns a JSON. So look at here, let me compare the servlet declaration in web.xml and using annotation. So in a web.xml, so look at here, we also give a servlet name, display name, description, and the URL pattern, right? In a annotation also we give the same configuration for the servlet. All right, great. I hope you understood how to define the servlet. Now let's go ahead and let's write the logic to return a Java object as a JSON to the client from the Java servlet. So let's go ahead and let's create some users. So let me create a user list here. So list of users, array list, user service, and we can call get users method. Great. So once we got a list of users from a user service, next we can create a JSON object. JSON equal to new JSON. So if you are new to the JSON library, then I highly suggest you guys to visit my previous JSON tutorials, so where I have shown you how to use a JSON library to convert Java object into JSON and JSON into Java object, and a lot of tutorials on JSON you can find on my YouTube channel as well as on my blog website. Now let's convert Java object into JSON. So let me declare a string object here, user JSON, and here I will use a JSON object, and I will call to JSON method here, and I will just pass the users. So toJSON method will convert a Java object into a JSON. Alright, now we will create a print writer object from the response object. Okay, now let's add the content type, set So we need to add content type to the response, right? Dot set content type. And what is the content type here? We are returning JSON, right? So application slash JSON. And we also need to add a encoding format. Let me add that character encoding, and here let me UTF format, right? UTF-8. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll write a JSON. We write a JSON to the print writer, and finally we'll close the print writer. That's it. So what we have done, we have we have got all the users from the user service, and then we created a JSON object, and we have converted Java that list of user object into a JSON string, and next we created a print writer object from the response object, and we have set a content type and character encoding, and we have written a user JSON string to the print writer, and we have closed the print writer. That's it. Now let's deploy this application in a Tomcat server and let's test it. So right click, run as run on server. So let's wait for a moment. So Tomcat server will take few seconds to deploy this application. Yeah, here we go. The application is up and running. Now let's copy this URL and let me open a browser and let me hit this link in a browser. And so notice here in a user servlet we have given a URL pattern as users. So let me copy this and just append this string to the URL, and we will get a list of users in a JSON format. Alright, so this is the JSON we got from the servlet. Okay, so whenever we hit this link, then servlet will send a JSON response to the client. So this is how basically we create a web application, and we write the servlet to return a Java JSON response to the client. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. So subscribe to our YouTube channel so that whenever we'll publish a new videos, you will get notified. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.